Alright folks, it's Tuesday, and today's no just any Tuesday. We've got Celtic in action, and believe it or not, there's actually a proper buzz in the air. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Why is he wearing that shirt? And listen, I get it, but let me clear it up right away. I'm not back in City tonight or jumping ship or anything like that. It's just one of those rare times when the stars align, and I remembered I had this absolute belter tucked away in the wardrobe, so I thought, why not? It's a cracker of a top. And to be fair, it's got the best beverage known to mankind plastered on the front, so it was always going to get a wee appearance at some point. Right now that we've dealt with the fashion police, let's get into the good stuff. We've got a jam-packed show today. Transfer rumors are flying about like seagulls at a chip van, and I promise you there's loads to get through. First things first, let's talk about Nicholas. The lad's been looking miserable for what feels like half a year now, and finally he's off to Italy to sign for Como. You could see the weight lifting off his shoulders the minute he landed over there. He was all smiles traveling with his agent Fabian Dengler, and you can just tell this is a move they've been plotting for quite some time. Fair play to them, really. I've no hard feelings at all. Nicholas gave us good moments, showed flashes of real quality, but ultimately it's time. It's expected that the deal gets wrapped up within the next 48 hours, and to be honest, I think we're getting a tidy sum for him. The key now is reinvesting that money wisely, something we haven't always nailed in past windows. Now on the subject of arrivals, let's shift our focus to Belgium. Word on the street, and or more accurately from Belgian outlet Voetbal, is that Michael-Ange Balikwisha is edging closer to joining Celtic. Apparently the negotiations have been ongoing for a while, and things are really starting to heat up now. Antwerp, from the sounds of it, are keen to get a deal done quickly, especially with Balikwisha heading into the final year of his contract. They don't want to risk losing him for nothing next summer, so this window is their best, and maybe only chance to cash in. You can tell they're trying to kickstart their own transfer activity, and selling Balikwisha might just be the domino they need to knock over first. I'll admit, I'm always a wee bit cautious with these foreign reports, especially when they're translated. You never quite know if the journalist is sharing actual inside info or just throwing out educated guesses based on what others are saying. This piece in particular is by Johan Walkiers, who's got a decent track record. He's broken a few exclusives over the years, so maybe there's something in it. But even still, I might try reaching out to him directly, see if I can get a clearer picture of what's really going on. For now, let's just say it's one to keep an eye on. No need to get the scarves out just yet, but it's definitely interesting. Now, let's talk strikers, and buckle up because there's a fair bit going on up top. Yesterday, reports came out that Celtic have made an inquiry for Giuseppe Ambrosino from Napoli. He's a young Italian forward, 21 years old, and currently on the books at Napoli. We're looking into the possibility of a loan deal with an option to buy. That kind of structure tells you we're interested, but maybe not completely sold yet. He's had a few loan spells already, and last season he was in Serie B with Frosinone, where he scored 5 goals and chipped in with 4 assists over 36 matches. Now, if we're being honest, that's not exactly lighting the world on fire. It works out to a goal every 444 minutes. For a striker, that's not what you'd call prolific. But here's the thing, he's still a regular for Italy's under-21 side. He played in all 4 of their games at the UEFA under-21 Euros, starting once and coming off the bench in the other 3. And he did score a belter in their knockout match against Germany, a 30-yard free kick in the 96th minute to send it to extra time. That's big-time stuff. There's clearly something there. A lad doesn't stay on Napoli's books and score clutch goals for Italy at that level if he doesn't have a bit of magic in his boots. So while the raw numbers from last season aren't great, you've got to consider the context. Still, I'm a bit conflicted. On one hand, he's young, talented, and could thrive in a new environment. On the other, we've been burned before by signing players based on potential who never quite get going. But if it's a loan with an option to buy, then maybe it's the perfect balance of risk and reward. Let him come and settle, and if he proves himself, we pull the trigger. Now, while all that's bubbling away, we've also got more chatter about Shin Yamada from Kawasaki Frontale. This has been bubbling for a few weeks now, and the latest from the Scottish press suggests a £1.5 million deal is close. It could even be done this week. When it comes to signing players from Japan, Celtic have built up quite a bit of experience. We know how to navigate those deals now. It's usually pretty straightforward. Identify the player, make the offer, and get it done. Japan has proven to be brilliant value for money, and the players we've brought in from there have generally settled quickly and made a real impact. So when you hear that talks are progressing, you get the sense that this one's more of a when than if. But here's where it gets interesting. Are we signing Yamada as the big Kyogo replacement, or are we bringing him in alongside Ambrosino? Because if both deals go through, we're looking at a serious logjam up front. Add them to Adama, Callum O'Connor, and Johnny Kenny, and you've got 5 strikers on the books. That's too many for a squad like ours. Somebody, maybe 2, are going to need to go out on loan, and that raises a bigger question about our overall transfer strategy. Are we seeing the emergence of a new Celtic Model 1 where the club balances improving the first team with making smart low-risk signings for the future? Is something we've already seen with Inamura at centre-back. Brendan Rodgers came out straight away and said Inamura's one for the future, possibly heading out on loan. Could Yamada be in the same category? And if so, does that mean Ambrosino is the guy we expect to contribute right now? It's a fascinating puzzle, and we don't have all the pieces yet. If Ambrosino and Yamada both sign, I could see a scenario where Adama and Ambrosino compete for the starting role, O'Connor sticks around as a backup, and Yamada plus Kenny go out on loan. And speaking of Johnny Kenny, Brendan Rodgers had some interesting comments about him recently. He wants Kenny to sign a new contract and seems keen to give him a proper look during preseason. There's a sense that while Kenny might not be ready just yet, the club still believe he could develop into a first-team striker in the future. So again, we're seeing that blend of short-term and long-term planning. It's almost like the club are hedging their bets. Bring in 4 or 5 promising forwards, give them time to grow, and if 1 or 2 of them become stars, then you've hit the jackpot. And to be fair, that's not the worst approach. We've seen too many windows where we've put all our eggs in one basket and come up short. This way, you're spreading the risk and hopefully finding a gem in the process. Now listen, I'm aware this video is already getting long, but I had to put together a wee graphic earlier just to make sense of it all. If you're listening on a podcast, and by the way, shout out to everyone who's been tuning in there. The numbers have been flying up lately. I'll do my best to paint a picture. It's the standard Celtic squad depth chart updated with the current arrivals and with a few of the outgoing lads taken off. Names like Laga, Bilke, Welsh, Palmer, Tilio and Kwan. I've removed them for now because it doesn't look like they're in Brendan Rodgers' plans going forward. Might be a bit harsh, but it helps us focus on what we've actually got. And what we've got to be honest is a bit thin in the attacking areas. Jota's out for the foreseeable future. Nicholas Kuhn is leaving. Kyogo's gone and hasn't been replaced. When you take those 3 quality attackers out of the picture, it leaves us looking pretty bare up front. I'd argue, and I think a lot of you would agree, that we need at least 3 more first-team ready attackers, a right winger, a left winger, and a proper striker. Now look, I'll give the club credit. The business we've done so far has been solid. Tierney coming back is huge. Negron looks like a player, but we need more. The midfield, in my view, is relatively stable. Unless someone like Reo Hatare leaves. If that happens, then obviously we've got to act. But right now, I'd prioritize bolstering our front line and bringing in another centre-back and a left-back to partner Tierney. That's maybe 5 or 6 more signings needed, and most of them need to come in ready to contribute immediately. No more passengers, no more projects. We're trying to win the league here, and the Champions League qualifiers aren't going to wait for us to sort ourselves out. Speaking of targets we've missed out on, did you see the news about Matthias Kvistgaarden? The Danish striker who's been on our radar for what feels like an eternity is off to Norwich City. And here's the kicker. They're paying around £7 million up front with a few add-ons and a selling clause. Now, wait a minute. Weren't Brumby asking for over $13 million not that long ago? That was the rumor, at least. So how did Norwich land him for almost half that? Well, turns out, and credit to the folks digging into this, there was a release clause in Kvistgaarden's contract that no one else knew about. No one except Norwich, that is. It's a brilliant bit of business from them, but it begs the question, did Celtic know about that clause? And if we didn't, then why not? Now maybe we did know, and we just decided to go in a different direction. Maybe the club felt like Kvistgaarden wasn't the right fit anymore. But if we were still interested and we missed that clause, then that's a brutal oversight. It would mean we let a proven goal scorer slip through our fingers for a fee we could absolutely afford. And that's the kind of thing that fans remember when results don't go our way. We can't afford to be outmaneuvered like that. Switching gears for a second, Ahead of tonight's game, we had a great chat with Ian O'Sullivan from the Cork #1 Celtic Supporters Club. And you can just feel the excitement building over there. It's not every day Celtic come to a town, and for a city like Cork, this is massive. Ian was saying how fans from all over Ireland and even places like Belgium, Germany, and Romania are making the trip just to be there. That's the pull Celtic has. And for those who can't always afford to get over to Glasgow, having a team come to them is special. For a lot of kids especially, this will be the first time they're seeing their heroes in the flesh. That kind of thing sticks with you forever. You never forget it. There's also a bigger picture here. It's about maintaining and growing that connection with Irish fans. Celtic have been making more of an effort lately, playing games in Dublin, Sligo, and now Cork. And that's important. Ian even mentioned the Celtic Foundation being active locally, donating €10,000 to a Cork-based charity doing incredible work. That kind of gesture means a lot to the community, especially in tough times. It's not just about football. It's about identity, legacy, and giving back. And tonight's venue, Páirc Uí Chaoimh, a GAA stadium usually reserved for Gaelic football and hurling. This match will only be the fourth soccer game ever played there. That's historic in itself. And with around 30,000 fans expected, it's going to be a proper occasion, even if the kickoff time, 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, isn't exactly ideal. Still, for a midweek friendly, that's an impressive turnout. Let's not kid ourselves. People are buzzing for this. As for the team tonight, we're expecting a similar squad to what we saw against Queen's Park last week. There might be a few changes here and there. I'd expect Callum O'Connor to feature. It might be our first proper look at him, which is exciting. He's got something about him, and this is the kind of game where he can make an impression. See if Adama gets minutes too. And by the way, big shout out to him. The Cork native's been putting in work, and while he's not always been consistent, he still managed to bang in 20 goals last season. That's not bad for a lad who wasn't always starting. I know people say he looks short on confidence sometimes, and I don't disagree. But when he's on it, he's a real handful. That game against Feyenoord, for example, he was absolutely electric. If he can string together a run of form, keep that belief high, then we might have something really special there. Let's hope. This season is the one where he kicks on properly. So tonight's match is more than just a preseason runabout. It's a chance for the team to gel, for fringe players to step up, and for thousands of Irish fans to enjoy a proper Celtic night. The game's live on Celtic TV worldwide, including the UK and Ireland, and it'll be on Premier Sports 1 as well. So wherever you're watching from, enjoy it. It's shaping up to be a cracking evening, right, since we're deep in this now. And the transfer window's still heating up. Let's keep digging into where Celtic really stand at the moment. Because honestly, we're heading into a massive few weeks. I know we've already talked about the names being linked and the ones likely to come in, but I think there's a wider discussion here. It's not just about who we sign. It's about what kind of Celtic side we're actually building. Brendan Rodgers has spoken in bits and pieces about the squad needing a refresh, and from everything we're seeing so far, that's exactly what's happening. But refresh doesn't just mean bring in younger players and hope they settle. It means real. Planning it means knowing your identity, knowing what kind of football you want to play, and signing players that fit that mold. Take the center forward situation. If Ambrosino and Yamada both arrive, we're not just looking at a numbers game, we're looking at a total shift in approach. Neither of those players are exactly like for like with Kyogo, who by the way still hasn't been properly replaced. Kyogo brought something unique. Movement sharp finishing, that instinct in the box. So if these lads are coming in with different profiles, maybe Ambrosino with a bit more physicality, Yamada maybe more raw but with that unpredictable flair, then what does that mean for the way we're setting up? Are we adjusting the style to suit the new forwards, or are we expecting them to fill the boots of someone they're not really like? And that brings me to Adama again. Look, 20 goals is a strong return, and for a lad who wasn't starting every week, it's impressive. But still, you watch him, and you can see the confidence comes and goes. Sometimes, he looks like he's about to explode into a top-level striker. And other times, he disappears. That inconsistency is what makes it hard to know whether he's going to lead the line for us going forward, or if we're quietly lining up someone else to take over that role. You feel like Brendan might give him another go, maybe build around him a wee bit more this season, see if he thrives with regular football and better service. But equally, the interest in Ambrosino and others suggests they're not just going to hand Adama the #1 shirt without a bit of a fight, which is good. Competition's healthy. You don't want anyone feeling too comfortable. Then there's the question of what happens to Callum O'Connor and Johnny Kenny. O'Connor's looked sharp in spells, and I think there's a quiet optimism around the club that he could take a step up. But again, it's going to depend on who else arrives. You can't carry 5 strikers in the first team squad and expect everyone to get minutes. Somebody's got to go out on loan. I'd imagine Kenny is probably the likeliest, but it's not a knock on his talent. Rodgers even said himself that Kenny could have a long-term future at Celtic. It's just maybe not right now. A solid loan spell could be exactly what he needs to come back ready to challenge properly. And let's not forget, behind all of this is a club trying to walk that fine line, being dominant domestically while building a squad capable of doing something in Europe. That's the real challenge. We've dominated in Scotland before, but Europe's always been that step too far. This time, you get the feeling that Rodgers wants to build a side that's genuinely equipped to go toe-to-toe with quality teams on the continent. That means depth, yes, but it also means versatility. Different types of players for different types of games. That's why you're seeing guys like Negron come in. Technical, confident on the ball, able to play multiple roles. And why there's this continued search for attacking options who bring something a bit different. But if you ask me where we still look thin, it's out wide. Big time. Losing Jota has left a hole that still hasn't been properly filled. Kuhn is on the way out, and even though he never really got going, it still leaves us another body down in those positions. Palmer as it stands doesn't seem to be in the plans, and Telio, he's a bit of a mystery. So right now you look at that squad and you see gaps, proper gaps. Gaps that need first-team ready players. We can't be relying on projects and potential anymore. We need a right winger and a left winger who can come in and make an impact from day one. Defensively, I still think we're 1 center back short, and a left back 2 depending on how Tierney's fitness holds up. The good news is we've not been idle. We've moved early this year, and that's something that hasn't always been the case. Last summer, we were sitting about until mid-July before things started to happen. This time, you can see that there's more urgency, but there's still a way to go. And I think the club know that. Brendan certainly does. He's not someone who's going to settle for just plugging holes. He wants players who push the level up. I do think it's interesting to look at how the board are operating now. There seems to be a more jointed up strategy. You're seeing a balance between short-term needs and long-term development. In previous windows, it felt like we were either signing guys who were ready but overpriced, or young players who were never quite ready. Now there's a bit of both, but with more thought behind it. You bring in someone like Inamura knowing he's not for now, but seeing the potential. Same with Yamada if he signs. But alongside that, you bring in players like Tierney who's going to start every week and make a difference. And let's be honest, this summer matters more than most. We're not just preparing for the league, we've got Champions League qualifiers to navigate, and with the changes to that format coming soon, this could be one of our last clear shots at the current system. Getting into the group stage this year would be massive. Financially, reputationally, everything. So these next few signings can't just be hopeful punts, they've got to be difference makers. Now I know it's easy to sit here and say, sign this guy, sign that guy, and make it all sound simple. It's not. Transfers are complicated, so many moving parts, agents, wages, competition from other clubs. But what we can do is stay focused on what the squad really needs. Not just for tonight, not just for next week, but for the full season. If we're serious about progressing in Europe, winning the league comfortably, and building something sustainable, we've got to get this window right. And honestly, I think there's reason to be cautiously optimistic. The noises from within the club are more positive. The pace of business is quicker. There's less of that wait and see approach and more action. But until those players are holding up the scarf, we wait. That's the nature of it. Anyway, that's where we're at right now. Still loads to sort, plenty to keep an eye on. But the foundation's there. Now it's just about building properly on top of it. I'll be back soon with more updates as things progress. You know how quickly these things can move. Cheers for sticking around. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. In the ever-churning rumour mill of Scottish football, the latest murmur doing the rounds is a potential blockbuster move that could see Hearts talismanic striker Lawrence Shankland donning the green and white of Celtic. Aye, you read that. Right. It's not confirmed, not even close, but sources close to the capital club suggest the Parkhead Giants have more than just a passing interest in the Scotland international. SHANKLAND, who's been nothing short of a revelation for the Jombos, finished last season with a sensational goal tally and captained Hearts with both grit and flair. His knack for being in the right place at the right time and his coolness in front of goal have not gone unnoticed, particularly by the big guns in Glasgow. While there's been no official word from either club, insiders hint Celtic could be preparing a move, possibly spurred on by the desire to bolster their attacking options ahead of another busy campaign, both domestically and in Europe. It's the kind of transfer that's sure to split opinion. SHANKLAND, a boyhood Rangers fan by some accounts, has long been seen as the heartbeat of the Tynecastle outfit. A move to their fierce city rival's greatest adversary would certainly raise more than a few eyebrows. But in football, loyalty often gives way to opportunity. And silverware. Hearts, for their part, are reportedly bracing for interest. With SHANKLAND entering the final year of his deal, whispers suggest the club might be willing to listen to. Offers north of $4 million, particularly if the player himself expresses a desire to make the switch. For Celtic, such a figure could be seen as a shrewd investment for a proven Premiership goal scorer, a homegrown talent who knows the league inside out. Of course, nothing is certain yet. But the buzz is growing louder around Gorgie and the East End of Glasgow. Could SHANKLAND be the next big name to make the move to Celtic Park? Only time will tell, but the rumour, once faint, is now roaring like the Green Brigade on Derby Day. Hello fan, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.